Okay, I'd like to call to meeting the order of Westerly Public Schools School Building Subcommittee for Wednesday, 12. The time is 6:04. Members present are Steve Marone, Giuseppe Giancarelli, Dan Lathrop, Mike Ober, Chris Duhamel, Dr. Mark Arceau, Mark McKinnon, and myself, Justin Hopkins. We also have with us as our guests our OPM Deb Reading and our architect from DBW, Ashley Prester. The first order of business is approval of meeting minutes from our February 26th meeting. Those should have gone out in the meeting notification. So if there are no modifications to these minutes, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I will.
Next order of business is public comment. We have a member of the public, actually, not really an elected representative, but would you like to address the school building subcommittee?
I would just like to say thank you for all of your work, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. That was not a plant. Okay. Next order of business is approval of invoices. We have, as is custom, first meeting of the month, a slew of invoices. So we'll start, I'll read them off, and if there are no questions or comments regarding the invoices, we'll entertain a motion to approve them. So we'll take them from the top and take them individually. Tower construction application for payment number 8 for Dunn's Corner and Springbrook Elementary Schools through February 28th, 2025 in the amount of $998,541.40.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Next one, O&G Industries, application for payment number 6 for State Street Elementary School through February 28th, 2025, in the amount of $675,785.61, representing a total billing of 17% of the total contract.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay. Next one, DBBW invoice number 2318-21 for professional services for Dunn's Corner and Springbrook Elementary Schools through February 28th, 2025 in the amount of $32,756.22.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. TSKP invoice number 230601-19 for professional services for State Street Elementary School through March 5th, 2025 in the amount of $12,679.18. Yep, that's it.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay, we'll take the 2 invoices from Prime Consulting Testing and Inspection Services as one motion, so I'll read them. Prime Consulting Testing and Inspection Services at State Street Elementary School and Springbrook Elementary School through February 28th, 2025 in the total amount of $30,180, which includes invoice number 23196 for Springbrook in the amount of $15,044 and invoice number 23186 for State Street in the amount of $15,136.
So moved.
Second.
My only question, I'm assuming we're pretty close to being able to wrap up testing and inspections, or how much? No?
No, not at all. We have continuous inspections for the masonry.
Okay.
So that's going to be one of our action items, is to increase that allowance.
Okay. All right. So, but Springbrook and Dunn's, we should be close to wrapping up.
Well, they
Well,
both have
no,
masonry.
That's masonry.
Yeah.
They're doing it this coming month, so I would say it would go into probably April, maybe beginning of May.
What are we testing the masonry for? Is it like the weather tightness?
No, the prisons, the mortar.
Mortar. right?
Okay. All right.
And then the good thing is we won't have those inspections at State Street, but we do have some compaction and we'll have, asphalt and all that.
Okay. All right. So a motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay. Same rules apply for this one. There's a series of invoices that separate out per project for Downs Construction. I'll read them off. Invoices number 18 for OPM services through February 2025 in the total amount of $33,370, representing Dunn's Corner at $7,160, Springbrook Elementary School at $7,160, State Street at $10,350, and the Ride Stage 2 application in the amount of $11,600.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on these? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. That had to have been the fastest,
Good job.
most amount of money in the least amount of time spent
I read
in
that.
the district. Okay, so we are on to owner's project manager / architect update.
Okay, I'm gonna jump down to the first action item really quick. Action item really quick, since we just mentioned approvals for prime consulting. So they have an allowance for $135,000. That was a number we put out there in the early stages of budgeting, while we were still over budget and trying to keep costs down. Not that we are now looking to spend more money than we need to, but in consideration of the continuous testing for steel, that was substantial, definitely at State Street, and now for masonry, we are, and with tonight's approvals, we are now over that allowance. We're at $143,000. So to keep their contract current and with Cindy and everybody else in accounting, to add $100,000, I'm not saying that without reservation here, $100,000 to their allowance. Now that'll only be used as needed, but again, I'd like to do a one-shot deal here so that we don't have to keep going back to the well every month just to keep ahead of it. If they don't use it, we take it back.
So define as needed. The frustration that I have is that I have projects that are 3 times as big that will be using half as much funds in inspection services. So who's calling for the inspections? Is it just the contractors coming out, like saying, I've got a pour today and I need you here all day when
Nope,
they all need
all
to be here?
inspections go through me now.
And how much of it is travel time for the inspector?
The travel time is whatever they need to come down here from Massachusetts. This was the lowest bidder,
Yeah.
substantially, out of the ones who did respond. So I know that the inspections are costly, and we're following the specifications. So if they're pouring concrete, we need someone to test concrete. And before that, we need someone to run a compaction test. We need someone there for the masonry and for the steel. What else are we thinking of?
Well, the steel,
Rebar,
the
mesh.
rebar and mesh, the steel at the media center at Springbrook isn't up yet, so, and that test for the welds and the torque.
We've been trying to double up on inspections, and the inspection agent's actually great about that. They'll see if he can move one way and one the other, so we can hit 2 or 3 in the same day and not have to drive all the way down here.
So are these multiple agents, or is it
One
one
agent.
firm that comes in and inspects all these different components?
One for prime consulting.
Oh, it's all prime.
It's all prime. Mhm. Now, there have been some cancellations by Tower. I'm going back through all of their invoices to put those all together, and those will be back charged to Tower. So far, nobody has canceled over at State Street. They've been very good about their schedule.
Now, how about if an inspection fails?
Oh, absolutely, they're responsible. We're going through that right this second for commissioning test for tomorrow. They are not ready, and I have warned them 3 times they will be responsible for a retest.
We have a few fails, provided that they're responsible when it retests. So,
Absolutely.
Is that identified in the front end of the specs?
yes.
It's identified several times. Absolutely. And they're reminded of that.
It's in the general conditions and in the spec.
So they're reminded of that. But it's those continuous tests that really get you, you know, the steel every day.
Yeah, I mean, the steel on our, it can go pretty quick, maybe a day or two of them checking all the welds, it works, but the masonry, they haven't done the veneer masonry, much yet. If they can prove compliance, we might be able to lighten up on the testing. But we need to know that this stuff's compliant first.
And is that a third party or a special inspection? I think it's a special inspection, isn't it?
It's not structural, so it should be special.
Okay. But the steel is special. Is special, excuse me. The steel is a special inspection, which is a required inspection.
When Prime comes down, they come down specifically for Wesley, or are they going from Portsmouth to Wesley to?
No, I think that's specifically.
Just for us.
Yeah. I'm sure if they were going somewhere else, they would probably, you know, give us a break. They're very good to work with, but usually they'll come down and have a couple of things to do and the travel time. It usually takes up as much of the day. You know, they might be here for half a day and then they travel for an hour and a half down, an hour and a half back, so.
So half their day is spent traveling just to do the tests.
Exactly.
Perhaps we should have,
Well, the other firm.
in retrospect, maybe we should have anticipated that.
Well, the other firm, we honestly, so you're right, we should have anticipated some travel time, but.
Okay, any other questions? So do you need a formal motion to make that, budget
We do,
allotment?
right?
Make a motion to approve an increase in the allowance. for Prime.
Second, increase to 100,000.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, thank you.
Thank you. Ashley, hand it over to you.
Okay. Isn't too complicated today. What's that? Yeah. Okay. So you just paid Rec 8, and that is 45 to 46% of the contract. The GC, we told you that we were looking at a draw schedule. They anticipated 6% billing for February and they hit it. So they are on track right now for 95%. They have, I'll get over this in a second with the progress, but they've kind of seen the light of day and accelerated the brick installation. So they will be doing the brick earlier. We were concerned on some sequencing. I remember mentioning that in the logic of the schedule last month. They've basically it the way we kind of anticipated it at this point. So that's good. I have not received a March update yet from them, but as of February, they are still holding the August 22nd date. So at Dunn's Corner, obviously in the last picture, you saw that the whole building is tented now, ready. They have temporary heat going. And they're putting the air and vapor barrier on the exterior of the wall right now for membrane that goes on the wall. Then the masonry will go in after that. The septic field has been installed at Dunn's. We're still waiting on a few tanks. Then they have to do all the pipe connections, all the electronics, controls. It will not be activated until the summer because we have to wait to switch over. We're also waiting on permanent power because that's being powered from the new service. A lot of MEP rough-ins are ongoing in the cafeteria. You can see that in the upper right, including sprinklers. A lot of plumbing is in now, ductwork. I saw the hangers tonight, so they should be getting going with that stuff soon. Lobby bathrooms by the admin are roughed in, inspected, ready for drywall, so they're going to be accelerating that. If they can finish those in the next couple months, they might try to turn them over and swap with the 2 bathrooms that are on the lobby and take those out. So we'll wait and let Mark make the final call once we inspect it as well, if that works for the school. The new generator you'll notice is stored near the gym. That can't be installed obviously until we get the other generator out of the way. So that's a summer thing, but it's on site. Upcoming work, I mentioned the air vapor barrier, transformer, windows, masonry. We got a decent amount of work going on at Dunn's. I wanted to bring you guys up to speed. There was a mention during the phase 2 capital project about the soffits at Dunn's. I actually embarrassingly never knew that we owned a IR thermal imaging camera at our office, but I took it out there and played with it a little bit. So a monkey with the electronics here, but essentially I took it on March 5th and 6th. So we got about half an inch of rain that night. And so it was a really good time to see if the soffits were taking on any water. It was about a 48-degree day the next morning. We figured if there was any water in the soffits, it would have been retaining that nighttime temperature in the 40s. Based on the images we saw here, it was consistent around the whole building. We did not see any moisture currently in the system. We see a lot of staining that happened probably pre-roof changes. So I think what we'd recommend, we know we put the committee on notice that we might want to halt that work or not do it. I think we can allow the contractor to go ahead and start their cleaning process whenever they do it, and they can sound the soffit as we go by to see if there's any loose stucco or anything. We're not seeing any spalling or delamination, so we're really hoping that's not the case and it's there. So hopefully what we have for cosmetics and cleaning will make it look brand new. So unless anybody has any objections, I don't need a motion on this. I just wanted to bring this to your attention.
Great.
Yeah. Fun little thing to play with, lots of settings. Justin smiling.
Yeah.
Over at Springbrook, little bit less status going on, but they are working on the masonry above the media center. Right now, once that's done and the staging comes down, they'll be able to put the steel up. The underground stormwater system was put in. As I was mentioning before the meeting, they were going to cast the slab on the second floor of the 2-story addition. That got pushed, I think, or we're still finding out whether we're still finding out if it's going to get pushed or not. So this upcoming works on that is structural steel, and then eventually the media center will go pretty quick on the exterior and things like that. So we should be seeing more increase. A lot of the rec this month was materials getting ready for them to ramp up. So hopefully we have all the insurances for that. Hopefully we'll see a good push here in the near future. I want to update you on Springbrook roof. There's a lot of people asking, what's left on it? Why isn't that not done? Things like that. We just got this today from the contractor. They're looking to basically, and I think this might be the first time Mark's seeing it. They're looking to do a lot of work during the next couple of weeks and into the April break. So there was one item that was holding Garland from issuing substantial completion. Once we get that, we'll have the warranty in place. I'll probably have them do a re-inspection since we've had the winter to weather. I want to make sure there's no issues. And then, we'll be able to close this. We want to be able to close this out. So I know it's not on the reimbursement schedule, but we still want to get it closed out this fiscal year. With that, there are 2 change orders, one of which you guys already approved as a not to exceed amount, which was the masonry veneer sealant. The left-hand photo, we noticed, actually Downs noticed, that a lot of the sealant and mortar along the roof edge was falling out. So you guys approved a not to exceed amount for that. It came back lower than that. So we have that amount. They're going to get going on that right away. And then the second one was when they went in and replaced the downspout boots. They commented to us, the contractor, that the boots that were put on there 30 years ago were round. Go into a round pipe was a round Fernco, a rubber connection, but it was actually a round to round, and it wasn't working very well. It was a lot of water was spewing out and things like that. So for $2,400, we get to replace them around the school and get a proper square to round connection. 20 years of UV has probably degraded them enough that they should be replaced. So we're asking the committee to approve a change order. This is the only change order we've had on the roof. We haven't spent any other money for that. So not to, or a total amount of 25,432.05.
Any questions regarding this one
So effectively, it's a $432 increase for
from
getting
what we previously?
$2,400 of work. Yeah, motion.
Yes, yes.
Second. Okay.
I had to do the math there for a second, sorry.
One question, where is the contingency on this project?
The contingency on this is part of the capital budget, right, for that particular. I think it hasn't been touched yet, so whatever it was at before, we haven't had to expend any of it. So you're gonna get more back, I assume, back into capital to then roll forward to something else.
I'll update the budget for the next meeting, include this in it.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I use the same logic, Dan, when we buy golf equipment at home. Yeah, got a sale on it, so I got more.
And that's it, that's all I have on this.
You effectively got it.
Save,
$200.
that's a mantra in our house, save money by spending money. Okay.
Real quick update over on State Street. They're moving along very well. They were going to pour concrete, has had a similar problem. They are having a problem over at WestCon getting aggregate. So they had to cancel their slab for this week, and they've been told probably about a 1 week delay. But they've already got all the mesh and the rebar down in the gym area. They're gonna be pouring there first. And then they're gonna move back to the building. They're right now finishing up their under slab conduit and their plumbing and their electrical. And they're backfilling and compacting and getting that tested. So we're doing really well out there. And the rat truck has been taken care of.
Anybody hear about this?
No. The rat truck?
Oh, this is a good story.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to take it?
Well, I didn't know about it until I heard from Justin, and then I called out there and, we tried talking to them, and every time we walked over to the truck with the giant inflatable rat in the back of it, if anybody had ever seen that from an episode of Sopranos, the guy peeled off. So, I guess their super finally got to get close to them and close to the fellow. He was smoking right there by the school as well. He told me, you can't park here, you can't smoke. It's a school zone. And we're just trying to find out what union sent him, because they actually, ONG is union, and they actually did bring a few people on for the union, from Union Hall, and they didn't understand why they were getting that presence on site. But I guess it happened 2 or 3 days, and a few of the kids were not really excited about seeing that truck, and they got a little upset about it, which was very sad to happen. But they got bumped up to the top of ONG, they reached out, and it has been dealt with, so they're not having to come back.
So sometimes you'll see these in projects that have labor or union disagreements. It's a strategy that some unions will use to bring attention to a project that may not be utilizing union laborers or subcontractors that may not be signatory to the union. And basically it's just what it sounds like, a big inflatable rat that's sitting on the back of a probably about 8 to 10 feet tall, sitting on the back of the truck. And
not Mickey either, a nasty looking rat.
And
He's a mouse.
Right.
And so the person who's driving the truck doesn't know why he's there. He's just paid he or she is just paid to show up at certain sites. So
This is a thing?
It's a thing.
I've never heard of it, really?
It's a
Oh,
thing.
wow.
It drives around Providence all the time.
Yeah. So the takeaway here is that this is a public project. It pays prevailing wage. We did not enter into a project labor agreement. However, just about every contractor and subcontractor that is working on our projects are first and foremost paying prevailing wage. But most of them are, all of them are paying prevailing wage, and that's part of the submission requirements for receiving payment. But most of them, if not all of them, are signatories to the union or use union labor. So it's a little bit of a mystery why this one showed up, but it did, and we'll hope that we don't have to encounter it again.
No, and I can imagine, you know, these little kids walking by, these giant rats looking down at them. It's a little traumatizing, but,
When did this happen though? 'Cause we haven't heard from anybody, like families, right?
Last week,
Last
beginning
week,
of
yeah. I think the Friday before, maybe Friday, Monday, something like that. It wasn't there for long every day, but a couple hours. As soon as I found out about it, I got a hold of Joe Vitro and escalated that right up. And I told him, I said, if he shows up again, you call me immediately. I'm calling Sean. And then Sean to take a ride out there and talk to him about doing this in the school zone. Because, you know, it's one thing if you're on a
Yeah, I would call the
A
chief
big-
about that.
a big high-rise site that's unoccupied, but you can't park outside a school with this thing. No, and what you know, express your concern first and you see if that works maybe. So
when I found out about it, I called the town manager, no, I did.
we did good,
I should have called you as well. I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
yeah.
Never heard such a thing.
I'll show you a picture.
I read the shelf
I
in
was
life
thinking
now.
we
I'll
just-
just Google
yeah.
it. I just Googled
Yeah,
it.
it's interesting. It's a nasty looking thing.
Yeah,
So
I
they
thought
need
you were
to start
talking
back
about
there.
a lone rat. So this is like one of those demon rats.
Mhm.
It is. Yeah, somebody needed a BB gun that day. So,
Okay. So the great rat crisis of 2025 is hopefully behind us. Anything else, Deb?
no, not right now. Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is capital projects update.
Only update I have for you guys is the vestibules. We have a draft of the plan of action. It will, it's gonna be presented to the fire marshal. Hopefully he agrees with us, and then we go before the, fire board variance meeting on April 1st. The limit of the occupancies, the auditorium is already posted, so that's around 400. Cafeteria goes to 247, in the gymnasium, a whopping 713. So we should be able to hold all our events with no problem. We are putting a stipulation in there that if 2 of the spaces are used for an assembly, we are required to have a fire watch, which is no different than what we're doing now on the breakfast. So hopefully this goes through, and I'll update you guys when we get back.
Great, thank you. And stage 2 application, I presume that we haven't heard anything yet in terms of any comments or questions from RIDE.
No, we have not heard anything back. I was just talking to Artie this afternoon. She's gonna be reaching out to you.
Okay.
A different issue, just for access to the high school.
Any questions to Mark or Deb on this one? Okay. Deb, Ashley, you're more than welcome to stick around for this, but we're going to get into the subcommittee charter discussion, so don't feel like you're obligated to stick around.
You can't tell me twice.
Sure don't need it.
Mark, I'll put you on, Mark.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is subcommittee charter discussion and recommendation. So I had sent on Friday to everyone the existing 2020 school building committee charter membership that was dated February 26, 2020. You'll be able to understand why we think that the school committee should update this or either keep this remaining and establish a new, either modify the charter of this existing committee or continue with this committee as an ad hoc committee through the completion of our current projects and establish independently a separate committee that deals with capital projects. It makes kind of sense to kind of use the framework of this and of our current committee and basically reestablish this as kind of a standing committee to help assist the district in capital improvement requests and management of the kind of annual capital improvement cycle. So there are things that are very specific to the 2020 charter, such as recommend the future configuration of the Westerly Public School buildings and the required facility improvements to the Westerly School Committee, prepare and submit the documents required to complete both stage 1 and stage 2 of the RIDE necessity of school construction application. The instructions and guidance are specific to the elementary schools and specific to historical information that frankly is obsolete at this point, the 2017 Jacobs report. There are some membership requirements that align with RIDE school construction regulations. It's my opinion that we should probably keep these type of memberships in case future applications need to go to RIDE. The reporting duties likely should remain the same. Update the school committee. Oh, I didn't realize I said at each regular meeting. I've been derelict at that. Under subcommittee reports. Election of officers are encumbered under the Westerly School Committee bylaws. Termination of the building committee, obviously, as this is an ad hoc committee charter, it basically terminates upon the completion, termination or dissolution on the completion of the project. And vacancies and appointments to the building committee are ultimately in the hands of the school committee, but will take recommendations from the building subcommittee as well. So I think, first of all, are there any questions on the path of travel are there any differences of opinion that this needs to be kind of reestablished or reconfigured? The way that I've addressed it with the school committee is that we understand what our primary charge is, but we have provided assistance to the school committee with capital projects throughout our tenure. So we're already kind of doing some of this and understanding that we're kind of a field of what our charter is. And I believe the school committee is receptive to some form of standing committee to help assist. I think the volume of work that Westerly Public Schools has been doing annually, not just within the framework of our major building projects, our 3 major building projects, but the other capital projects warrant a periodic oversight. It's not going to be 2 times a month, likely once it gets going, once these other projects abate a little, but it will have a frequency. So any questions?
Is there any other committee that does any facilities committee or anything like that currently in? So this would be kind of establishing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Other districts, and Chris Lund is not here. I believe he's in front of his districts. You guys all know that Chris Lund is the facilities director for East Lyme Public Schools, right? He has a facility, I think it's called like a building and grounds subcommittee or facilities committee. I think school building committee is fine. They're kind of interchangeable.
Same thing,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What's the amount of capital that would be spent every year? Is
We
it 3% of the budget?
Pushing 3 million?
3 million.
Yeah, by law, it has to be a minimum of 3 million.
Well, that's a lot of money.
And it's kind of all the more reason we should have a body that provides support and guidance to the school committee.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's what I'm just scribbling here, like if we took objective of the committee #1 and made it, just reworded it so that it was something like provide support and guidance to the Westerly School Committee with respect to the required facilities improvements of the Westerly Public School buildings, something that captures what the work would look like going forward.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think we need to vote on anything, but perhaps between now and the next meeting, Mark, maybe you and I can bounce some drafts over so we can present it at the last meeting. So what I'd like to hear from is a framework I think if it's a standing committee, we should probably have some say about terms. Just to make sure that, you know, that there is the opportunity for other members of the community to join, or other compositions of the school committee to staff.
Except for the chair, which is indefinite.
Are you gonna, or you
No,
want that one too?
That's your,
Okay.
the spot.
Chair emeritus.
Right down the street. I even get mail for the Westerly Public Schools. I think I dropped a defibrillator off last week. Yeah, I'm 39 Highland. However, sometimes I get things that are addressed to 39. But okay, so instruction objective, I think, can be reworded to encumber some sort of annual capital review. I do think we should probably still have some language in there about interfacing with RIDE where appropriate, for maximizing reimbursement, and potentially, setting up additional grants or investigating additional fund streams. The instruction and guidance, I think, is something that we can noodle on. But what do you think? What are the school committee terms?
4 years.
4 years. 4 years.
But it's staggered 4 years.
Yeah. So would you think that the subcommittee should kind of pantomime the terms and staggeredness? Or
Yeah.
all right. Okay. Anything else you may want to see in this?
What's as far as the capital schedule you submit to RIDE, how far out does that go?
5 years
Okay.
RIDE will be
This
just submitted
Yeah,
for the next 5 years.
yeah.
for the capital improvements, but they have historically been running programs. They had a program called Everyone Outside.
Mhm.
Although I don't know if that's an LLB slogan or not. I think it was an Everyone Outside program.
That was with Gina Raimondo during that.
Ye-
So,
Yeah, but they provided like $100,000 chunks to districts that applied for it. And
Outdoor, indoor, something like that, outdoor, indoor.
yeah,
No, that's what it's hard.
Yeah.
On tips.
yeah. But I recall hearing from the commissioner at one point that just nobody really knew about it. So there were very few districts that capitalized on it. So there are going to be these things that kind of come out that we should, have an eye on, just to make sure that we can take advantage of those programs when they come up. Because that can pay for a playscape, it can pay for a outdoor classroom, furniture, that type of stuff.
So I just shared the charter with you as a Google Doc.
Mhm.
So we can co-edit,
Okay.
and maybe in 2 weeks come back with something, right?
I was going to talk about that in next steps. I'm not sure that we need to meet next for our second meeting in March. I think I'll check with. I should have asked these guys before they left. I was eager to get them out of here, but I'll check with them to see if there are any action items that they need. But in terms of invoices, everything, we've accomplished everything for the last round of invoices. But maybe we should hold the next meeting just to get this off our plate. And if it's just us meeting, the subcommittee meeting for half an hour to finalize this and escalate to the school committee, we can do that. Because I don't know if one of our meetings, when is April break?
12. 15, such.
13th is the Sunday.
yeah, 14 degrees.
Okay, so that misses our subcommittee schedule for April. I just want to make sure that we give everybody a breather prior to the start of the summer, because it's going to be a pretty busy summer with wrapping up Springbrook and Duns. Okay, so that's our,
The Wednesday night races.
what's that?
That's what Wednesday night still is.
Okay. Okay, so I think unless there are any objections, I think Dr. Garceau and I can edit this and we can have a draft to everybody in advance of the next meeting. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then from there, the vote would be a recommendation of this document to the school committee, and then they can do with it what they want to do with it. Okay. Okay. So that brings us to next steps. I do not have any next steps other than what we discussed regarding the charter discussion. But is there anything else that anyone wants to bring up, wants to see?
I know I've been out for missed a few meetings. Well, I just would love to know like where we are on the budget process, like how far along.
So
Are we above, below?
So we currently, now we'll need to get from Deb an update based on allocations of another 6 figures to our testing agency. But as of the last meeting, we were still showing about $2 million in available contingencies, which is good.
Yeah.
It's good. It doesn't mean that we can go spend 2 million, but now that we're out of the ground at State Street, there's less unknowns that we'll be running into. There will still be periodic change orders that we'll need to encumber.
Two big ones coming with the door hardware.
Okay.
What supply chain issues is that behind us?
State Street doesn't seem to have that issue. The other renovations are okay. I think the switchgear was ordered early enough. But I'm amazed at what ONG can pull off because they got started later and they're getting stuff before.
Rat is not understanding, yeah. Any other questions? Okay. We have another available public comment.
I will just say for what it's worth, out of the two options, Justin, that you mentioned for some sort of ongoing building subcommittee, I prefer the first one, which is a sort of continuation of what's here. I believe that you guys have sat inside this work so beautifully for so long, and I think that that will come to bear on future projects in the district. So I feel like it would be important for continuity to sort of carry that forward.
I think that's, based on our discussions, I think that's probably where we're heading. So maybe, Mark, that's something that we'll need to have some reference about completion of the major building projects to maintain the charter. So, okay. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you.